And Mark, I'm going to invite you while I talk about you, so please join us. Yes.
Which side do you want?
Okay, good. So, Guy, you happy? You took the side you wanted? Yes. I'm so excited to welcome a man who needs no introduction, yet deserves an extraordinary one. From the humble beginnings of selling garbage bags door to door in Pittsburgh to becoming a titan of tech, sports, and entertainment. He's a self-made billionaire who has redefined what it means to be a successful entrepreneur in America. A shark in the boardroom and a star on the dance floor. He's made his mark not only on the business world, but also on our hearts and minds, just recently with his heartfelt support of Israel during these troubling times. He's the only person who can claim to have grappled with the tech giants, danced the foxtrot on national TV, and slam dunked in the sports world, all while taking on the Goliath task of making healthcare affordable for all Americans. He's the maverick of the entrepreneurial world. Mark Cuban, welcome to Icon.
Thanks, Yasmin.
In this room, there are cherry-picked Israeli founders of tech startups, partner in US VC firms, and corporate executives, all of whom share a passion for Israeli tech and innovation. You can only imagine how quickly the event sold out. So before we met, I asked you if there's anything I cannot talk about, and you said no. Ask me about
I didn't say I would answer anything.
Oh. It's because you forgot I'm Israeli, and I will ask about everything. So I know we're going to have an amazing time, and I will put my clock out so I'll know the time, and I'll try to keep time for your questions too. But you did say one thing that really touched me. Actually, you said there's something I want to talk about, and this is what you're doing with the drugs, the cost-plus drugs. Mm-hmm. And it seemed that if this was the thing you want to talk about, this is your passion, and I love the passion, and I want to hear about this. What is it? What do you do with drugs?
It started a company called costplusdrugs.com. And why is easy. Nobody likes the healthcare system in the United States of America. And it's expensive. It doesn't get you the results you want. And so we started looking, my partner, Dr. Alex Osmayansky, who I met via a cold email, which I should explain. He sent me a cold email. I'd never met him before in my life. And he said he wanted to start a compounding pharmacy in Denver, Colorado. And we started talking about it via email, and I started peppering him with questions. And I'm like, Doc, you're thinking too small. The problem, he wanted to do compounding, which you get to make your own drugs for drugs that are in short supply, which is nice. But I said, look, the entire pharmaceutical industry is a mess. And what I think is missing is transparency. Because you know what happens in the US, those of you who live here, when you get a prescription from your doctor, the first thing they ask you is not, can you afford it, the economics, it's, what pharmacy do you use? And then you're presumed to be able to just go to the pharmacy and everything is hunky-dory, you got insurance, but we've all been, or at least a lot of us have been in that situation where you get prescribed something and it's like, am I gonna be able to afford this? Or you've seen the terror in the faces of people at the pharmacy counter while you're waiting. And it's insane that in this day and age that in America, people have to choose between their medication, their food, their daycare, their rent. I mean, that's just insane in 2023. And so we started talking, and in looking at the industry, the one thing that was missing was transparency. And because the industry wants it to be as opaque as possible. Because the more opaque it is, the harder it is for somebody to disrupt. And so I'm like, screw that. So we're gonna start this company called costplusdrugs.com, but what we're gonna do that's different, when you go to costplusdrugs.com, put in the name of your drug. If we carry it, and we carry about 2,500 now, we're gonna show you our cost. So whatever the drug is, I'm gonna show you what our cost is. I'm going to show you what the markup is, which is 15%. We charge a pharmacy fee, and it's mail order. If you use mail order, there's a shipping fee. If you pick it up locally at a pharmacy affiliated with us, there's a script fee for the pharmacist. And that's it. But lo and behold, when we started publishing those prices, it turns out our prices were dramatically lower than everybody else's. And we started seeing some obscene examples. I mean, I literally had a friend from college who takes this drug, droxidopa, and he was all freaked out. He lost his insurance, and they were going to charge him $10,000 every 3 months. I'm like, Landon, let me just look it up here, see what we got. Oh yeah, we got that. We charge by the month. It's $51 a month. There's another drug, imatinib, for chemotherapy. And we still get emails from people and posts on social media. Yeah, I went in there and they were going to charge me $2,000. Then I went to your site and it was $21. And it's just because this industry is so opaque, people get away with charging whatever they want to charge until we came along. And then a second second downstream benefit was because we published our price list to everybody and anybody who wants it, researchers started doing an analysis of what would happen if the US government for Medicare purchased through Cost Plus Drugs instead of the way they're buying it now. Three urology drugs, we would have saved, $900 million a year. 7 chemotherapy drugs, $3.6 billion a year. And just again and again and again. And the underpinning of what we're doing is that we think we can completely disrupt the pharmaceutical industry. And that's exactly what's happening. And you know it's happening because the biggest players, this thing called pharmacy benefit managers, they're putting out press releases saying they're going to do we're costplusdrugs.com, and I recommend if you have any prescriptions here in the United States or you know anybody, go there and check out, see if we carry what you have. But the big players are now trying to copy us without copying us, right? So they're releasing cost plus programs that aren't cost plus. They just call them cost plus programs, right? They don't show you their cost. They don't show you their markup. They just say, we pick a cost, and then we're going to mark it up, but it's cost plus as a result. So when the big guys start lying, you know you're hitting the mark. And so this is just a start. Our goal is to have every single medication legally available for us to sell. We want to bring trust back into healthcare, and we're also extending it into medical services, et cetera. So it's really been an impactful company. It's something that, there's nothing that would make me happier than when you come back and visit us 3, 4, 5 years from now. It was like, yeah, I heard Mark talk about that. Well, yeah, no, of course, it's all changed. So that's our mission, to change healthcare.
So I'm curious what made you passionate about this. Was this because you're involved in many lines of business, was this the business opportunity, or is this something in healthcare that really attracted you to be part of?
When it's an industry that impacts everybody, every family, and excuse my French, you get a chance to fuck it up, why wouldn't you? This literally is a chance to change. We're changing people's lives. Like, I'm used to people coming up to me, Mavs, Shark Tank, but I was in Nashville not long ago, and somebody just walked up to me and hugged me and started crying. And it happens over and over again, and it's like, we saved X number of $100 a month or a year, and that just changed my life. Or people who are on Social Security and on Medicare, because of the deductibles that are still there, we're cheaper than their copays, and we're cheaper than their deductibles. So now we cut their costs by hundreds of or thousands of dollars. And just being able to change people's lives like that, what's better than that? That's the best feeling in the world as an entrepreneur. And, I'm not somebody to put my name on buildings or, put my name on a wing at a college. It's more like, okay, I like to invest in entrepreneurs, and I like to invest in disruption, and hopefully this is just the start of many of them.
You said this relationship started with a cold email, which is usually something we don't tell entrepreneurs to do. It's like a very...
I've invested so much money in cold emails, you have no idea.
I hired Noah on a cold email.
Yeah, and so there's a company...
Great decision.
There's a company that emailed me, it's been 10 years now, and he was like, they're in Dallas. These kids in Dallas, they're in their 20s. And they're like, we got this new way to do enormous scale 3D printing that we want to do for rockets. I'm like, and I don't know a lot about 3D printing and all the material science and all that, but I'm Googling real fast to ask them questions that seem somewhat legit. And they're answering all my questions, and they're in Dallas. I'm like, okay, let's wing it. I'll give you $250K to start for like 10% of the company, then a little bit more. And I got another. So I get a decent size, and these guys don't even have an office, nothing. And so slowly but surely, they start building these huge 3D printers, and they raised more money because I typically stick to seed and startup, and raise more money. Now it's a company called Relativity Space. They've launched their first rockets. They just did another round now at $4 billion. And I still haven't met them.
But I mean, how do you do it? How do you have the time to answer like the cold emails and to actually sift through it? Because I'm sure there's some diamonds there, but just impossible to.
It's the best thing ever, right? Because, look, I'm the luckiest guy in the world, and I get to work to my own schedule. I don't do a lot of calls. I don't do a lot of meetings. Unless you're writing me a check, I'm not going to meet with you unless it's really, really important. And so I control my own schedule. And literally, I'll spend most of my time on email because it's asynchronous, right? I can get to you when I need to get to you. And I get so many cool ideas, whether it's Alex with Cost Plus, whether it's Tim Ellis with Relativity Space. There's just a long list of them. Now, not all of them have gone well, obviously, but it's turned out really, really well in terms of the economics of it. But I learned so much because people get access to my email, and I get into these fascinating conversations. You know, like now I'm having a conversation where I'm learning a lot, you know, about, what the hell? Mamba AI versus Transformer AI, and what's, you know, what are the transitions that are going to happen there, and, you know, how can you use open source? Just so many fascinating conversations that I can get into that if I just waited for people to bring me deal flow, then it's so structured. You know, okay, here's a VC or here's somebody who's going to funnel this to me. Let's do a meeting or let's get on the call. Let's go through the particulars. Let me see your pitch deck, then I'll follow up. Versus now, it's just like, okay, it's, you know, 1 a.m, I'm bored, just finished Mavs game or whatever, and oh, look, this is pretty cool. Let me pepper him with some questions. And it's been insane. I mean, I've met people, and they're like, I sent you an email. So there's this dude, okay, it's insane, Logan Paul, right? And he and his brother Jake, who are like social media, like crazies now, and one's a fighter, I did a podcast for him because
One's like a fighter.
One's a fighter and one's just a social media dude that's got this drink company that's just blowing up, right? And so he had asked me a while back to do his podcast, and I kept on putting him off, and finally he got more uncomfortable to put him off than to do it. And so we're doing it, and he goes, you know, he tries to hit me with the gotcha. He goes, you know, me and my brother sent you emails when we were 18, and you responded. I'm like, really? And he's like, I'm like, what did you say? No, I don't really remember. So I'm like, wait a second, pull out my phone. And I look them up, right? And I pull up the emails. And they were giving me shit, right? And so I was giving them shit back. But it was just, you just never know what you're going to experience and the people you connect with and the things you learn. I've learned so much. You know, just Kismet is and karma just have huge impacts. And so I like it.
Amazing. So you're leaving Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So why do you join, actually? I mean, why do you leave? You know, I can understand, but why, I mean, why did you leave? Why did you join?
Why did I do it in the first place? So it was 2009 when the show first started, and they talked to me but didn't hire me. But then the next year, they brought me on as a guest shark for 3 episodes. And back then, it was bouncing around from night to night. So like if Desperate Housewives had a night off on ABC on Sunday nights, they'd put in Shark Tank.
That's what they do with the Israeli Shark Tank, by the way.
Yeah, they just pop it around.
Yeah, they're not as nice to us.
Yeah, and so I was like, this show is not going to last. So I'm just going to go on there and I'm just going to raise hell and just do my 3 episodes because they brought in Jeff Foxworthy, the comedian, to do 3 episodes and then me. And I'm like, me and Jeff Foxworthy, right? So, who knew? And so I did it, and I was just, I'm like, I'm pulling no punches, right? Bam, bam, bam. I'm going to do every deal. I'm going to be screaming. I'm going to be yelling. Because they were so reserved because Kevin and Robert had come from Dragon's Den in Canada, which is really laid back. And so they saw nothing like me coming. And that just kind of changed the whole vibe of the show, and it got fun. And then it just kept on going and going and going. But it's been 15 years. And it's not even so much that I've been on there 15 years. And I hate the fact that when I look at the early seasons, I look like I'm 12. But it's more like we shoot. The crazy part about it is we only shoot 2 weeks in June and 2 weeks in September. That's it, right? Now, there's a lot of times dealing with all the companies. But those 2 weeks when my kids, who are 14, 17, and 20, were younger, they basically did what my wife and I told them, right? I'm done shooting. Here's when we'll have time. This is when we'll go on a vacation, yada, yada. But now, you know, my 20-year-old's a sophomore in college. She doesn't care about my schedule at all, right? It's like, okay, Dad, I'll see you next year, you know. So I've got to work to her schedule. My 17-year-old's a junior who is a fantastic rower who's getting recruited. So she's going to all these regattas. And so I just, you know, they're going to be gone, you know, on their own. And while I can still run after them some. I want to have that time for them.
Yeah, you said why they wanted you, which it's kind of obvious why they wanted you. You made it fun. But what was in it for you? I mean, did you want to be on TV? Did you want to reach those entrepreneurs? I mean, I saw you with Eden before with the girl that snuck on backstage to see you, and it was really about. I saw like this light in your eyes.
Yeah.
It's about passing it on.
The best part of the show is just. It sends the message that the American dream is alive and well still. We go through all kinds of political and partisan discourse and all kinds of problems, but, and Israel kind of has a lot of this as well. But the one thing that separates us is the idea that everybody and anybody can be an entrepreneur in this country. And I think what really drove me, and it just became stronger and stronger inside of me as I did the show, is that we inspired generation after generation of entrepreneurs. And, whether it's Don who came in and, 11 years old, or now they're coming on Shark Tank and they're killing us. Yeah, I started watching you when I was 12 and, started a business and you guys inspired me. Or the fact that, we're shown in thousands of schools, 2,000-3,000 schools every week. Just being able to be part of that and have an impact like I have is phenomenal.
I think in Israel, in Hebrew, there's a song that says, a big failure is better in a dream in the drawer. Mm-hmm. And I think what I see in Shark Tank, really how it inspires people to open the drawer and get those dreams out.
Absolutely. Well, you see the same thing, right, in Israel when you do it, right?
Yeah.
It's just people come up to you and you're just, oh, you gave me this idea, or you inspired me, and
I get to see actually a lot of women too that come to me that say, we didn't think we can, and that's inspiring.
Which is amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So you're both an entrepreneur and an investor. What do you like better?
Oh, I like being an entrepreneur a lot better. Yeah. Being an investor is harder because I always think I'm right, And not all my entrepreneurs agree. And typically it's the entrepreneurs who disagree who are the best entrepreneurs because, they believe and they've done their homework because they know they've got to be able to convince me. But yeah, I like being an entrepreneur better because just, the idea when you're, there's so many, how many people here are entrepreneurs? I know there's a big bunch, yeah. That when you're sleeping and you start dreaming about work, right? And you got to wake up and send that email or take that note or, and you just, or, you walk into a wall because you were thinking about work, and my wife or my kids are like, Dad, hello, because you're thinking about your company. That's only entrepreneurs know that feeling, and that's special. And just being able to take that and do the work and get the results. And even when you fail, one of my first was starting a company with powdered milk, and I was like, it's cheaper. So what if it doesn't taste quite as good? You learn, right? But, and I would just tell myself, every no gets me closer to a yes. Doesn't matter how many times you fail, you just got to be right one time, over and over and over. And that's just being part of an entrepreneur. And it's just what makes it special.
Yeah, I know. Many people ask, because you're seeing a lot of entrepreneurs, which of the entrepreneurship qualities do you appreciate the most?
I think grit. I think it's important to be a grinder because you just never know who's competing with you. But that said, I think in terms of success qualities, I think curiosity, agility, salesmanship. You've got to be curious because business is nonstop. It's always changing, and there's always somebody trying to kick your ass. So you've got to be curious, and you've got to be able to take that knowledge you're always gaining and be agile, and not be caught in what you've always done, and be willing to change. And all that together, whatever your company, your product, your service is, you just have to love to sell it. It has just got to be your baby that you love so much that you're not selling to people as in convincing people, but just the fact that you're telling them about your business, you're helping them. You're helping them solve a problem. You're helping them become more profitable. You're helping them save time, whatever it may be. And I think those are the most important elements because just business is just continuous change.
Well, so now that you're living Shark Tank, you're going to have more time. What's like the big next dream? What haven't you accomplished? What's left on your bucket list, Mark?
Just, the healthcare industry.
Little
things, right?
That's it.
But seriously, it's funny. As I get into Cost Plus, I really do think there's a straight line to fix the healthcare industry. And I'll tell you here, now a lot of you are Israeli, so it's not as relevant, but for those of you based here, I'll tell you the story. You know, the concept of eating your own dog food, right? With tech, you've got to use your own technology, or what's the point? And it was the same with what we were doing at Cost Plus in my companies with healthcare. And so I never, in my companies, I just never got into the details of my healthcare costs. I just knew it was too expensive. And I hired somebody who I thought was my friend to do employee benefits consulting, right? But now we decided to practice what we preach, and I dug into my healthcare costs. First, you know, about 1,000 lives across all my companies that I control. And so I was paying somebody $30 a month per employee, which 700 employees, that's $2.1 million a year. And I'm like, you're not saving me any money. Oh, we got you only a 3% increase when everybody else was 6%. Oh, thanks a lot, right? So I'm like, what if I cut this person out? I didn't lose anything at all, right? So I'm like, okay, now what else can I cut out? So I looked at what I was paying in insurance. We were paying, you know, for a family of 5, typically my insurance, including what the employee was paying, and we asked them not to pay much at all, was about $29,000. But I self-insured for my companies. So it was coming back to me anyway. So I looked at the price. So I was like, what is the point of this insurance company? Why am I paying them these premiums? What do they do for me? Okay, well, they're supposed to like aggregate capital, but they're not doing that for me because I self-insure. I got to pay the bills no matter what, and I have catastrophic insurance in case something goes really wrong. So I'm like, what purpose do these people serve? And then, well, they put together a network of providers. So when one of your employees is sick or needs something, they just show the card and they know where to go. I'm like, okay. And they charge me not only my premiums for the healthcare, the insurance part of it, then they charge me $18 per employee per month to have access to that network. I'm like, Ryan, one of our guys, do the homework. This was last year. Can we direct contract with those networks? And look at a comparison of pricing for cash pricing versus the price this great insurance company negotiated. And so they were charging me 270% of Medicare, this reference number in the United States. And just walking in, like my son had to get an MRI. So they were going to charge me $2,000 through my healthcare insurance, this great program that this employee benefits consultant put together, $2,000, when I just went up there with my son and got it for $475. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing for me, right? And the point of this was, so then I just asked a question. These big insurance companies that we all use, what do they do for us? Well, they have a really nice app. So I got rid of them. So I don't pay healthcare insurance premiums anymore. I just direct contract, and when someone needs something, well, for drugs they go through us, Cost Plus Drugs, and the direct cash price. So we went to the hospitals and sat down with the largest hospitals. I'm having meetings right now, and remember, they charge the biggest insurance companies 275%, give or take, of the Medicare rate. I'm like, if I pay you cash up front, maybe even give you an advance, like a deposit, so you know you're not going to get paid, how low can I get my rates? Yeah, depending on what it is, 80% of Medicare, 100% of Medicare. I'm like, sold. So literally, we cut all of our costs. And so we don't work through the big insurance companies anymore. Then there are these things called PBMs that screwed up the entire drug side of the industry. We have a pass-through PBM because they're the ones that inflate all the prices. So I've cut my healthcare costs by half. And all I had to do was, there's this company called BevCap, right? There's this dude who thought the same thing. He ran a bunch of beer distributors. And over time, he did the exact same thing we just talked about, direct contracted, and they got all the beer distributors in the United States to work through him. And literally, the people with the best insurance programs are beer distributors now. And so we just copy them. And so the point to everybody here, if you have operations here in the United States, don't go through an insurance company. Find a company that you can direct contract through and work through them. And literally, it's cheaper for you to give your credit card to your employees and go to the provider and just say, what's the cash price? Find some local emergency rooms to pre-negotiate that in case something awful happens. and you'll save a ton of money. It's like the easiest way to raise money. If you have 100 employees, 200 employees in the United States, the easiest way to raise money is to really dig in on your healthcare costs. And what we're going to be doing at costplusdrugs.com is, as we negotiate these and finalize these for my companies, we're going to publish them all. We're going to publish all the pricing, all the contracts, and that's part of the deal with the providers and doctors and everything, so everybody will just be able to copy it. And so when I say there's a direct line to fixing the healthcare industry, that's the direct line, introducing transparency to healthcare costs, not just pharmacy costs where there was none before. And so it's not even a company we're starting, we're just publishing everything that we're doing. And I think over the next 5 years, it's going to change.
I think this is also applicable to other expenses. I mean, as a CEO, you want to look at all of your expenses and start questioning and not take the status quo as for granted.
What's crazy is companies, the biggest companies in the world, they have their HR people trying to turn into healthcare finance experts. It's insane. And let me just tell you something else, right? I walk into these big healthcare companies and talk about their healthcare, and they say, well, we only have a $2,500 deductible or a $5,000 deductible. I'm like, you realize your young employees, they don't have to pay into that deductible at all. They're healthy. The people who have all those deductibles, they're your oldest and sickest employees that you're making pay the most. Is that the way you really want to run your company? But that's the way it's structured with your employee benefits consultant that you're paying $30 per employee per month, and the insurance company that you're using that you're only using that provides no value other than a cool app, but you're only using them because they're big, and the PBM that they own that you're using to do your medications that you're only using because they told you because they're big. It's insane. It is literally insane, but it is so fixable. It doesn't take a lot of legislation. It doesn't take the government getting involved. It just takes employers who have employees paying attention to their costs and how to save money.
It's actually, I mean, other than what you're saying, it's incredible to see your passion for this and how you want to really devote your time, which you could do anything.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Literally, everybody, how many people here have companies in the United States as opposed to Israel? So healthcare is a pain in the ass. And it's probably your second largest expense line, and you don't know anything about it. Of all the people who raise their hands that have companies here, how many also are experts in their healthcare costs? One, okay. And the laughter. How insane is that? But those big insurance companies, they call them the BUCAs, right, the acronym, and the PBMs, the big three PBMs, they see us coming. That's why it's a mess. And let me just tell you, if one by one, each of you copied what we're doing and direct contracted and stopped paying insurance premiums and just got catastrophic insurance, the whole thing changes like that. You just got to pay attention.
So I think we warmed up enough to ask about DEI and X, Twitter.
Oh, my buddy Elon. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I disagree with my friends, one of them sitting here, we talk on WhatsApp and we say bad things to one another, or we disagree, or we sit in a room and talk. But with almost 9 million followers, you and Elon and Bill Ackman argue with each other very publicly. We've all been part of it. I think this message has been forwarded to everyone in every group. Who hasn't read the threads?
Good, you haven't missed anything.
Wow. Okay. So I'm curious about your take on this, about DEI. I mean, there's opinions
two
here and
different
there.
things here, right? What happened on X, Twitter, right? So Elon said anybody who uses DEI is a racist. And I'm like, okay, I want to fuck with Elon. And so I got on there and started, and I said, look, I believe in DEI. It works for my companies because I think having a diverse employee group brings unique ideas, brings conversation, but I also think it's a benefit, particularly if you're a selling organization where your demographics match your customers, right? Look, as Jews, we talk about MOT, right? Everybody know what MOT stands for? Anybody not know what MOT stands for?
I don't know.
Member of the tribe? It's an old one, yeah. But you connect. If someone says, "Hey, I'm from Israel," there's a connection, right? Someone says, "I'm from Israel," or "I'm Jewish," "I belong to JC." There's a connection. People connect, and I think when you have a diverse employee base, there's more opportunities to connect, and I think that's a huge positive. And so I went on and I said, "Okay, DEI diversity. That doesn't mean you have quotas. Quotas are illegal. What it means is that you open up your applicant pool to a more diverse group of applicants, because the wider you open it up, there's a really good chance you're going to get better employees. And if you open it up, you're going to probably find people that you otherwise would not have exposed to that are really, really, really smart, that can connect to your customers, your stakeholders, your employees, and help you in ways you didn't expect. So I think there's a problem. Then there's equity, right? E and DEI, equity. Now they're like, oh no, you're trying to make all outcomes the same. No. Look, when I first got started in a business, I used to always think that equality, treating people equally, meant treating people the same. Like if I said something too stupid to a guy, I could say it to a girl. No, right? Treating people equally does not mean treating them the same. It means treating them as individuals, right? And to me, that's what equity is. It's putting people in a position to succeed, because that's what good businesses do. You recognize the individual values and capabilities that people have, and you put them in a position to succeed. That is equity. Doesn't mean everybody gets the same outcome. Doesn't mean you push some people back so everybody's aligned. No. If somebody's really, really good, a superstar in your business, you give them what they need to be a better superstar. If somebody fills a certain role, maybe they're not performing quite as well, and you put them on a performance review, but you give them the tools in order to be successful so that hopefully they can make it work. And if not, it's unfortunate, but people get fired. But equity means putting people in a position to succeed. Inclusion, the I. Just let people be people. Let people be themselves. Treat them with respect. If somebody wants to identify however they want to identify, I don't care. You identify as you. I've had people give themselves some really stupid nicknames, and I called them by those stupid nicknames, right? I don't care how you identify themselves. I don't care sexually, whatever it may be. You be you, you identify how you want to identify, and I'm just going to respect that. Because if you respect that, they're going to work harder, and they're going to respect you, and you're going to get better results. And that's good. So I always looked at DEI as being positive. And I effectively said that in some posts on Twitter. Elon called me a racist. Mark Cuban is a racist. So I thought for a while, I'm like, okay, what should I say back? What should I say back? What should I say back?
You just said, you started replying to my question. You said, I want to mess up. I wanted to fuck Elon. I want to mess up with him. This is it's a massive platform to just prank a friend.
Well, it's his platform. Yeah. It's like walking into someone else's house or restaurant, right, and saying, I know this is your game and it's all your rules. But, I thought about it for a minute and I said, okay, there's only one thing I could really do that would send the message I wanted to send. So I blocked them.
He can take it off, no? He can remove the flag.
I don't know if he has, right? I don't care, but...
I saw on your website you listing female-led investments that you have, minority-led investments, and it is obviously something that is important for you.
But it's good business. Why would you not want to expand your employee base to everybody and anybody who could be the best possible person? And to look where you typically don't look. Isn't that the best part? Isn't that where businesses succeed the most? When you look where other people don't? When you give the opportunity. Like, I take cold emails. I don't know what they look like on the other side. I don't care, right? But I open it up. If I give a talk at a historically black college, I'll give them my email. Now, I know I'm going to get more emails from them at that point in time, and that's good. Isn't being good at business is going where other people aren't, looking for ideas that other people don't see? I just see it as common sense. Now, how you run your business is up to you. This is what I do, right? Does it mean quotas? No, this is not about quotas. Does it mean don't hire the most, don't have a meritocracy? No. No, not at all. Only hire the best person. But open up the applicant base so that anybody, there's just more diversity in who can be the best applicant.
It felt to me when I read all the threads that it was like more of that we were both agreeing on many things, because I think what Bill Ackman said is that it becomes less of a meritocracy, which is what you're talking about, and people are hiding behind DEI to make decisions that are not merit-based.
Yeah, but you know what? I talked to Bill and I talked to some other folks who criticized me on him, and they say They are changed, you don't understand. They are out there forcing their viewpoints, their leftist viewpoints on everybody else. So I'm like, who's they? Who? Give me an example. Look, there's really bad people out there. There's businesses who do it wrong. Running a business is not easy. Running a bigger business is harder, right? So I can get that people are going to get DEI wrong. They're going to misuse it. They're going to misrepresent it. They're not going to necessarily use it to hire the best people, right? They're going to use it as a shield. I get that. There's going to be companies like that. But when you tell me they, okay, who's they? Oh, it was, the people who, it's the left. The left is out to get us. Who? Just give me names. If anybody got any, I'm willing to listen. Who?
Are you going to go to politics?
What's that?
Are you going to go to politics?
Do you think I could survive in politics? It'd be like they would be kicking me out so fast.
It wasn't a no.
No, it's a no. It's a no. Someone once said to me that I would never vote for somebody who thinks it's a good idea to run for president. So, yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. So I heard you at the little video you sent by Hillel's request after October 7th talking about anti-Semitism. And one of the things you said was there's always going to be people. It was, if you haven't seen it, it went very viral in Israel. It was like a comforting message to all the students that felt that, attacked or hurt by anti-Semitism. And one of the things you said, we just have to acknowledge that there are people that will hate us. And there's nothing we can do about it. And the nothing we can do about it, I want to tell you, I disagree. There's got to, yes, some people, will always hate us, but there are many people that hate us just because they don't understand or because they don't know, and there's a lot we can do. One thing is like the video you did, and like all of the, public diplomacy and sharing stories and highlighting.
Well, I didn't say we couldn't change minds, right? What I said was there's always going to be people who hate us. That's just the history of the Jews. That's not all of a sudden, in my mind, that's not all of a sudden going to change. There's always going to be idiots. At least on social media, we know who they are.
And you have a list.
Yeah. And you're not going to, there's a lot of people whose minds you are not going to change. And then when I said, that's not what matters. What matters is who loves us and who we love. Because that's what matters. That's who defines us. It's not the people who hate us that define us. It's the people we love and that who love us. And that's what's made us strong. That's why we can be 15, 16 million people in the entire world, and have the impact we have because of who we are together. And that was the point I wanted to make to the kids at Hillel. Because, I'm sure we've all here experienced anti-Semitism at some level. I have. But I think the exercise to try to change each and everybody's mind is futile. But that doesn't mean...
Not everyone, some.
Well, no, that everyone, right? But that doesn't mean you don't, where you run into somebody and you can have a relationship and have a conversation, you have that conversation, right? Do I think just posting on social media is going to change minds? No, people, particularly now, social media has changed. It's no longer social. And since Twitter became X, I was telling you, Yasmin, like when I get Jew ban, I get, you're not white, you're Jewish. I get, tell the Jew to shut the fuck up. And I just bookmark them. Twitter has become just a cesspool for hate. And so trying to go there and change people's mind, I've seen people try, and then everybody just gangs up. And Instagram, just people avoid it. And then same with LinkedIn, it's just not that platform. Social media, I don't see as being that place. I think you've got to go face to face. I'd rather, that's why when I have these conversations, I go where I know people are going to disagree with me. Whether it's DEI or whatever. And with anti-Semitism, it's harder and it's more emotional, but where you can go face to face, I think you can change minds, and I think that is the important part.
I agree with the face-to-face. I think, this is like we can talk hours about this, but I think social media isn't in polarizing because the algorithm rewards like whatever.
Especially Twitter, right? I've read the algorithm. They post, to Elon's credit, he posts the algorithm. I read it, and fun stuff, huh? And basically, it's a tree algorithm where it says whoever gets the most attention, and the people who follow the person who gets the most attention, the accounts who get the most attention, get the most rewards. Well, who has the biggest account? Who?
Qatar, they said country.
Oh, Qatar is the biggest account? No.
Who was the biggest?
Oh, they're funny. No, Elon's got the biggest account. Yeah. And his views and the people who agree with him get the most response on Twitter. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way it works. And as Elon has gone in the direction he's gone, so is Twitter.
So I'll ask one last question, and then I'll open to their questions. I know you have invested at least in one Israeli startup because they're alumni of our program. Actually, you have invested in one of our alumni. What is your take about what's going to happen to the tech ecosystem in Israel following October 7th? Do you think investors will be reluctant, or actually even I see some that want to go out of the way to look at
help,
Israeli
yeah.
startups? How do you think it's going to pan out?
I think as time goes by, that resistance that hesitancy will decline. Because like we were talking earlier, when it's all top of mind and it's in the media continuously here in the States, then people are like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and that impacts how they think. The reality is you don't see it in the media nearly as much anymore, and so people tend to go back to normal. That's just, we have short attention spans here in the United States, and we tend to forget what's not right in front of us. And so I think already you're starting to see a lack of hesitancy at all. Now, that's not to say investors are excited to go to Israel, because I know I've talked to people, I've talked to friends that are like, no, we're still afraid to go for better or worse. That's just the reality. But in terms of investment, I don't think there's going to be hesitancy at all. And again, where there's hesitancy, there's opportunity.
Amazing. Actually,
Thanks, Marcos.
okay, we'll open for...
Yeah, right?
Yeah, we want you to come to Israel. I mean, Palantir just did the board meeting in Israel. Peter Thiel went with Alex Karp, and I think Safra Katz was just there. So Jerry Seinfeld came. It's
There
fun.
you go.
It is. I mean, Israel is a good place usually, but now I think it's more important than ever. So we're looking forward to, here's an official invite. We're looking forward to seeing you in Israel. So I want to ask about lots of things. We didn't talk about basketball. We didn't talk about the crypto. We didn't talk about Dancing with the Stars, which is like my favorite topic. I'm just going to ask one word question, and then I'll open for your question. What was your favorite style on Dancing with the Stars? I know it was a long time ago. For me, it was recent.
Yeah, probably the Foxtrot.
I knew it. I was going to guess
That was my
Foxtrot.
first dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whenever like I'm somewhere and the song comes on, it's an old song, I'm like, you know. But you can, Mark Cuban, Dancing with the Stars, just Google it.
I Googled it, and I watched them all. I
Good,
know.
that was good.
It was an amazing, for me, it was an amazing experience, especially stepping out of my comfort zone. I mean, and yeah, I'm on Shark Tank, I'm on TV, I can talk on stage, I can talk when, but this is within my comfort zone of work. But then, like, wearing those out, you didn't have to wear the skimpy dresses.
You didn't see it? Yes. No, I didn't have to wear skimpy
I
dresses.
had to wear
can
those
imagine,
dresses,
yeah.
which I never wear, and dance, and then people judge you. I mean, I think for me, the big exercise was actually really like stepping out of my comfort zone, which is something I like, and I think you too, and then
Okay,
seeing
it was
how
the
your
scariest thing
comfort
I've ever
zone.
done. It was I was on season 5, so it was a long time ago, and literally back then, I was on the 2 most watched episodes of Dancing with the Stars at 22 million people live. So can you imagine walking out there, now dancing the Foxtrot, Mark Cuban and his partner, Kim Johnson.
You looked so happy in the Fox. You looked so happy, like a
I
natural.
was terrified. And you know what the judges said after me? They're like, they called him and by the way, I had just had my hip replaced 9 weeks earlier. And so it was great rehab, right? And by the way, my partner, Kim Johnson, married Robert Herjavec on Shark Tank. But dancing out there, it was like, I had Marie Osmond, I beat Floyd Mayweather, but Marie Osmond like fainted and there was this big deal and da-da-da. It was hysterical, but it was the scariest thing I've ever done.
Okay, so I'm going to open to your questions. Noah here has the mic. Oh, you're going to use my mic? No, take another one. Guy has a question over there. Here's the mic. You can, give him the mic. Start with Guy. Go for it.
You always get the questions.
Hi, thanks for being here. We highly appreciate it.
Thank you.
So that's the basketball question, but it's also, maybe it's a DEI question. since you blocked Elon, you might not know what he replied to you, so I'm going to paraphrase. When should we expect to see a short white Jew on the Mavs?
When one is good enough to play in the NBA, that's when you'll see one.
I think we have a name for you, right? Danny Avdia?
Denny's good, but he's not short. Yeah.
Well, shorter. Okay.
Yeah, he's strong. He's really good, but he's big and he's strong. He can play.
Yeah. So the real question is, you sold the Mavs, but you still retain. I mean, you still manage it. So how is that going to work? I mean, I'm trying to think.
Worked before. I've got great partners, and nothing's really changed. We've got a great partnership.
Thank you.
More questions? Yes, please. Noah, can you pass the mic quickly?
No, it's okay. I can walk fast.
Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed the talk. You talked a lot about healthcare and coming from a family of doctors. Certainly see all the problems. Curious your thoughts on the healthcare provider side in terms of the doctors, nurses, people that charge you $1,000 to go look at your skin for 30 seconds. How do we solve that cost problem?
It all goes hand in hand, right? So, the insurance companies do a lot of pre-auths and denials, right? And then the doctors have to spend time with the patients dealing with overcoming the denial or the requirements for the pre-auth. And then they have certain requirements that they need for their systems. And so all this administrivia that's introduced by the insurance companies, we eliminate it all with the direct contracting. So we went into the providers and the doctors and the primary care physicians, and we just said, there are no pre-auths. We just trust you. We're going to audit after the fact, but as long as we're trying to introduce trust between the patient and the doctor and the provider. So we'll trust you. And in terms of, that means no pre-auths, that means no claim denials, that means, you'll have as much time as you need to spend, and, beyond that, it's just your relationship with, if you work for a big hospital system or whatever it would be, as to how you spend more time with your patients. But in our approach, we want the doctor to be able to spend as much time as possible with the patient, or as much time as needed with the patient.
Thanks for being here, Mark. Big fan. Watched every Shark Tank episode, and
Thank
my
you.
favorite moment is when you call bullshit on people making claims.
Oh, I love when people try to scam us. I just
Scam,
love
like
just to rip on them.
medical
That's my
claims on
favorite.
weight loss, and I love that.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I'll go back to the DEI. I think your definition of DEI is probably the clearest and most inclusive DEI definition I've heard. And I think that is the biggest misconception. If you were to ask me, am I a believer in DEI? I would say is yes, but that should not come over meritocracy ever. So I think my question is just like your
Not come over
meritocracy.
meritocracy.
Yeah. I think my question is just like how you feel passionate about healthcare, how do we drive this DEI to the right definition? I think the definition is the root cause of this whole disconnect.
Look, we're capitalist society. If you don't hire right, you're going to lose. When people say, some people take the other side, say, oh no, DEI, it's wrong, and it just should just be a meritocracy. Well, if companies are hiring people who aren't qualified, it's going to show up at some point in performance and execution and profitability. It's just the way it works. And, you're going to have, and on one hand, well, big companies, you can be hidden in this and that. Well, if you're working with somebody who's incompetent and not capable of doing your job, you're going to quit, transfer, or it's going to show at some level. And if there was a big groundswell of white men being disadvantaged by DEI, we start seeing in the numbers. But, because I went through the whole DEI on Twitter thing again today, the unemployment rate for white men in the United States of America is 3.2%. They're not feeling the pain anywhere. The average earnings are higher, right? And so it would show up in performance at some point. And so if companies don't do it well, if companies don't execute on it, and if companies use it for quotas, it's going to show up in their performance, and that'll be its own reward, and it won't work. It's everybody in the middle, this table here. Would you guys like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gal, you're next. My name is Dusan. I'm a huge basketball fan.
Thanks.
And I have a leadership
You were a
question.
player. Tell them.
Yeah.
You used to be a player.
Yeah, I'm from Serbia, so.
Yeah,
you
they
had few
definitely play
players from there,
basketball, yeah.
So, leadership question. You took over Mavs, and they were a losing team, right? What was the hardest team in getting to the championship? What was the hardest thing to change in that process?
Well, one, I had this big tall guy from Germany named Dirk, right? And so sometimes the best moves you make are doing nothing and just letting him do his job. But, you know, in sports across the board, whether it's basketball, football, American football, whatever, luck is 99% of it. You know, if we knew how to pick the best players, every first round, you know, first pick of the draft would be the best player in the draft. And it hardly ever works that way, you know, the second pick, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, there's a story here that applies here in San Francisco, Golden State. So back when the Warriors had Steph Curry and Monte Ellis, they wanted to trade with the Milwaukee Bucks for Andrew Bogut, a center. And they literally gave the Milwaukee Bucks the choice of Steph Curry and Monte Ellis. Could you imagine if the Bucks took Steph Curry instead of Monte? Now, Monte's a great player. He ended up playing for the Mavs. Good dude, great player, right? Could score like anybody, but he wasn't Steph Curry. Just luck. You know, 'cause, look, yeah, luck is so important. I'll take luck over smart every single time. So, you know, Luka Doncic, who's top 3 player in the league, we had the 5th pick. We had to trade up to number 3. There are 2 guys who were drafted ahead of Luka. I bet you can't even name them. Right? One guy didn't play yesterday because he couldn't get out of his house because there was an ice storm. And they didn't care. So, you know, that's just the way it works. If it was a science as opposed to an art, it would all be different. And look at Jokic, right? You know, it just 46th, 47th pick in the draft, and now probably the best player in the NBA.
You know, sometimes we tell entrepreneurs, make your luck. You got to be there. You got to open every window. You got to do everything you can to actually make the luck. It's, yeah.
But you know, scale, luck is from scale. Look, if we, you know, where I made most of my money was a company called AudioNet that turned into Broadcast.com. We were the very first streaming company, the very first. When nobody knew what streaming was, we called it internet broadcasting. And if it hadn't been at the same time that the internet stock market was taking off, I wouldn't be sitting here today. You know those movies where they go back in time and then people disappear because something changed in the timeline?
Sliding doors.
Right, yes, yeah. Well, if someone slid the doors so that the timeline, so that the internet stock market started 3 years later or didn't happen at all, I'd disappear. Luck.
I'm not sure. I believe you would have found the way.
Well, I would have found a way to do well, but to have a B next to my name, luck. I don't care what anybody says. If someone who's a billionaire doesn't tell you that, or tells you that they could just do it again like that, they're lying their ass off, right? Now, do I think I can make millions? Yes, because, you know, I know what I know and I can sell. And I'm a grinder and I'm relentless. So I know I could do well. But, yeah, being a billionaire, that takes luck. I don't care what anybody says.
Brett.
So I have one business question, one political question. I think we met right after Trump got elected, and you were fiercely anti-Trump.
Yeah.
What's your view now?
I haven't changed my view.
What do you think the answer is then to drive, you know, in 24 and drive more unity in the
I would vote for a ham sandwich over him. I've known the guy for 20-some years. I can tell you story after story after story. Now, a lot of people obviously don't care, right? It's not about his personality, it's about, but he doesn't care about anybody either. And I think that's the key. He doesn't care about this country. I really don't think so. Now, a lot of people disagree, and I'm not going to argue with them, and everybody, you know, is entitled to that perspective, but I know the guy, right? I've talked to him. Like I said, Joe Biden can actually die, and I'd still vote for him. Now, I know that's going to go everywhere, right, and it'll get picked up. but it is what it is. I'm just not a fan of. Now, put somebody else in there, like, one of the cool parts about the primaries is 17 states have open primaries. And so you don't have to vote based off of your political affiliation. Like, I'm an independent. I'm more fiscally conservative, more socially liberal. And so I don't belong to either party. I don't really relate to either party. I hate party politics, period, end of story. I wish both parties would disappear. The country would be in a much better place. But in Texas and others, New Hampshire, if you're independent, you can just go vote for whoever. And so in Texas, I'm probably going to vote for Nikki Haley or, I don't think Ron DeSantis, but probably Nikki Haley. Not because, now, will I vote for her in the election if she's the candidate? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But that's how much I don't like Donald Trump as a candidate.
I also read that you said that you're against the two parties, the two big parties. I got to say, from the other end of the spectrum, in Israel, there's so many small parties.
Yeah.
I wish we had less parties because I think this really opens like a lot of
Well, it's
kind of
different. It's a
blackmail.
lot of difference because trying to create, and I don't know Israeli politics all that well, but trying to create the coalitions, make it interesting.
But I want to know beforehand what's the coalition going to be so I can decide if I want to vote for you or not. And then
Yeah,
I think every system has its challenges.
Yeah, for sure, right? There's no perfect system, but it is just all about power. And people put power over country. People put, keeping their job over everything else. And that, Lindsey Graham, the world's going to hell if Donald Trump gets elected. Oh, hi, Donald. How, Ted Cruz, your wife is ugly. Oh, I love Donald Trump, right? It's just insane, but that's the essence. And look, it's no different in Israel. It's no different around the world. People just want to, once you get a taste of that power, you want to retain it. And I'm a big fan of ranked choice voting, where, you can vote for your top 5 selections or top 3 or 4, depending on the version. And if the person who's your number 1 choice doesn't get more than 50%, that gets stricken, and your number 2 vote gets those votes. And the result of that is you don't get the extremes that we see now in the primaries. So if you look at Alaska and you look at Maine, the senators there, they were senators, Republican senators, who voted against Donald Trump. Because with ranked choice voting, they weren't going to get primaried by, just enough turnout from Republicans who love Trump. The system just works better. So that's what I prefer to see.
Dor.
So I'm not sure how can I move from Trump to crypto. So I will try. I know that you believe in crypto. I know that you are busy with crypto. I know also that you got scammed in crypto. But my question is, what needs to happen that the United States will not give up on leading the crypto ecosystem?
Wait, say that again?
What needs to happen that the United States of America will not give up on leading the crypto ecosystem?
I'm still...
Because it seems that that's what is
What needs to
happening.
happen so that the United States will not give up on leading the cryptocurrency revolution?
I think it's going to happen no matter what. If it doesn't happen in the United States, it'll happen somewhere else. That's the whole point of crypto. Now, there's a lot of garbage in there, and it's hard to tell the signal from the noise. And I think the United States is screwing up horrifically with the SEC, but that's what the SEC does. They screw up on everything. Google me in the SEC, and you'll see why I think it. But I do believe that there are applications that are unique to crypto that aren't mainstream yet, but there will be some that come along, right? I'm disappointed in crypto because we haven't seen that one application that grandma wants to use, and it's worth her taking the time to learn it. But I do think there are applications that have significant utility that benefit from, I like NFTs. I think they're collectibles. I like the fact that, you can track it on the blockchain, all that stuff, not to get into too much detail. But I think crypto definitely has a future and will be around for a long time, even if the SEC screws it up.
Well, we're hitting the hour mark, so we'll do a dead and then one more, and we're done.
So first, thank you for the support for Israel. It was very strong to feel that you support Israel that way. So thank you. My daughter is 10 years old, and she watching binge of Shark Tanks. Now, are you, both of you, this is a question for both of you. Do you see this as an impact kind of show? I'm not kidding. I mean, educating young generation about what it means to build companies, because she's asking 20% all the time. So do you have this kind of feeling that you have this responsibility? It's not just Dancing with Stars. It's really something that can deliver a message?
Go ahead.
For me, it's more about the people that have a dream and haven't done the dream. So, I mean, I've said the show in Israel is in its 4th season, not like here. And this show takes time to mature. You see great investments. We don't see great investments. We see okay investments. But all of the entrepreneurs here, you know, that on the day-to-day, don't quote me on this, yeah? But on day-to-day life, I see better deals. And part of the problem is also the format doesn't allow them to ask for more than $1 million. And if you're an amazing company, you know, your valuation is more. And I don't want like a friction of 1% because I'm a shark. I want to be significant. So this model kind of creates a problem, and really great companies like the ones we see all day don't want to come. So I always see myself as talking to your daughter or to people in the periphery of the country or to people who have a dream and don't dare, not just to the entrepreneur in front of me. So like, if we tell them you should have written, provisional, so I'll say, wait, let's discuss it. Mark, why do you think he should have written a provisional? You know, why do you think he should have asked it? What's the right time to do that? And we start having a discussion because I always think about the people that watch it from home. For me, it's more the people in the periphery of the country that have a dream, not the kids, but also the kids. I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way, right? You know, we get some really stupid companies that pitch. You know, fart candles. We had.
Yeah, but then like something like potato parcel is successful.
But there's always going to be something that's screwy, right? But you know, we had this one company on back when called Taillights, right? And there was this guy and his niece who's probably 16 years old then. And these taillights were just like these logo things that would light up. And he thought it would be so cool for teenagers to put these things on the pockets, their back pockets of their jeans, their tail, right? And when they would walk around, they would light up, tail lights. And so I go to the 16-year-old daughter. I go, now remember, she's there with her uncle on national television. I'm like, would you wear that on the date? She just did everything but cry to not answer the question. So, you know, still though, that company made it on Shark Tank. That company has been seen by millions of people. And if that guy can come on there with taillights, if fart candles can come on, anybody can create a company that has a chance to be successful at some level. And I think that message is insanely important.
Amazing. So we'll do just one question. Yes, somebody has the mic, please.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for being here once again. Back to healthcare. Back in Israel, your provider is also your payer, and it's also the pharmacy. And my question is, do you think that transparency is enough to solve all the issues that the US healthcare has, or is it a misalignment of interest and something needs to be done about that?
It's a misalignment, and something needs to be done about that. I mean, single payer is something we always talk about, and there's a lot of good reasons to talk about it, and replicating Israeli and other systems. But the system is so far down the road that to get from where we are to where we would need to go is nearly impossible. Versus if you just hopefully the market approach we're taking, where you just extract the misaligned players, then all of a sudden, once everything is transparent, then a state government can say, well, now we know all the costs for what all these things cost. It's worth it for us just to cover the cost. And so maybe for everybody up to 200% of the federal poverty level in the state of Minnesota, okay, it's a good move it'll save the state money if we do that. That's what transparency will bring, and that doesn't exist right now. And as long as that doesn't exist, and as long as those players, the biggest players, allow that opaqueness and misalignment of incentives, it's impossible to get there.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, Mark, for coming, and thank you everyone
Yasmin,
for
wait a
your-
second.
Yes.
Just before you go, we have a question from the audience here. They're anonymous.
An anonymous question, okay.
That's always
Mark,
scary.
yes. We heard you gave disco lessons when you were in college.
Yes, I did. And let me just tell you, when you're 19 years old and sororities are willing to pay you $25 an hour to go to the sorority house and give dance lessons, you take that job.
So it happens to be that we have one of the best dancers in Israel here on
There
stage.
you go.
And she's on a bet. Mark.
Ready?
No, Yasmin.
Oh, let's go there. We got to move. There you go.